Okay, hello and welcome to a subject that most of you probably already know quite a bit about, but perhaps you don't know every little detail about it. Man. It's the name of a command that you have in the Linux and Unix command line. It's short for manual. And yeah, funnily enough, it actually includes all the manuals for various bits of software on your computer. This is really handy, of course, in the past, in the days past before we had free and easy access to the internet and all of that information at our fingertips. We had the man command, and you all know that you can simply supply man in the name of a command, and you get the full manual page for that particular command. But there's actually a lot more to it than that. The man page system in Unix doesn't just have pages for executable programs or shell commands, which is section 1. You'll note that at the top left and top right here, we have the ls command, and in brackets it says 1. And that's because this is a manual page in section 1. But there are multiple sections to the Unix man page system. 1 is executable programs or shell commands, 2 is system calls, 3 is library calls, 4 is special files, mainly the dev file system, 5 is file formats and conventions, that's mostly going to be configuration files, 6 is specifically for games, 7 is miscellaneous, 8 is system administration commands, and 9 is kernel routines. Now, on not all systems will these sections actually be populated. It's of course based on what software you currently have installed on your system and whether the packages that you've used to install those things actually include man pages or not. Some distributions do actually strip man pages. So this is kind of a fun thing that we can do. So the very basics, as I've already demonstrated, is just man and then the name of the manual that you'd like to see. Now the system has some built-in prioritization. By default, it will prioritize commands. In many cases, for this example, password. Password is a command, but it is of course also a config file. So if I specifically want to enter the section file formats and conventions, I can say man section 5 password, and notice now we're in password brackets 5, and it's from the section file formats and configurations. So we're now looking at the manual page for that configuration file, /etc/password. And if I quit back out of this, if I wanted to be very specific, I could say section 1 password, and now it would show me the command password. And of course, many of these terms are a little bit overloaded, and you will see results for multiple. Another fun thing we can do is we can actually look at the manual for man. Man, an interface to the system reference manuals, and you'll see here it does enumerate the different sections for us. They're all shown here, and it also tells us a whole load of things about other functions that we have within it. So this is kind of handy. Something else to note is that we have a variety of different ways of referencing sections. So I showed you like section number and the particular thing that you're wanting to look for. It is also possible to do, there's a kind of dot notation, so we do password.5, that will also take us to here. There's also a bracket notation as well, where you can do this. Oh, okay, apparently I'm wrong. Okay, in the man page it said you could do that, but I guess the problem is that bash is actually interpreting that. So I didn't actually test this before recording the video, but I guess what we'll have to do is we'll have to escape it, and then it will actually work. So those are how we get into the different sections. You also have the ability to use what is called an apropos, and this basically means do a search for particular terms within manual pages. So if we want to see man pages which reference ls, you'll see that we get a lot of results because that's quite a small thing. Let's do a search for like edit. There you go. You get far fewer that show edit. So this shows us all of the references to the word edit in our man pages, and you can see again in the brackets it tells you which section each of these man pages resides in. Now be aware that in some systems the actual database, the man database that is used for these search commands, is not built automatically. NixOS, which is what I'm on here, is an example of that. So if you haven't If you haven't got your database built, the apropos commands and the man minus k will actually tell you that there's no results, despite the fact that there should be. For NixOS, at least, you need to make sure that a particular directory exists, and it is in fact this directory. So you want to do a sudo make dir -p var cache man nixos. And if you do that, you then need to run the command sudo man db, and this will generate your man database. Be aware that you'll have to rerun this command each time that you change what software is installed on your system. It is also possible actually to add a NixOS configuration option to have it auto regenerated, but we're not going to cover that today. So yeah, I said man -k was to do like a kind of a keyword search. That actually is also part of the command apropos. So I can simply say apropos edit, and it will give me the same output as man -k. The other one you've got is you can say man -f, and it will take a command or a manual, and it will give you the very short summary of what the thing is. So man -f ls says ls is the list directory contents command. We could do the same thing with something like man. It's an interface to the system reference manuals. So that's what all of that does. Furthermore, I don't know how many of you are aware of the commands that you have while you're in the man command. If you press the H key, you're going to get a short reference, a summary of all the commands that you have in here. To my mind, the most important ones are as follows. Shift G will take you to the bottom of the manual. G on its own will take you to the top. Of course, you've got the up and down arrows to go down, up and down a line at a time. Spacebar will jump a page at a time, which in some cases might be what you want. / is to do a search forwards from the top line downwards. So let's search for the word escape. Pressing enter will jump you to the first occurrence of the word. Note that occurrences of the word are highlighted, and pressing the N key will jump to the next occurrence, next occurrence, next occurrence, and eventually it'll say pattern not found when you hit the bottom. Shift N key will go backwards through the occurrences. And once you're done with that, you can press Escape U, and it will clear the highlights and take you out of the search. Note that if we do Shift G and jump to the bottom, if we do question mark, this will also do a search, but it'll do the search backwards. That actually is not in there. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. So it's showing us the first instance. Pressing N will take us to the next, but this time we're going upwards or backwards through the document. Again, Escape U will take us out of that mode. So that's kind of handy as well. Ampersand will filter the contents and will only show lines which contain a particular pattern. So in this case, I'll say the word size and press enter. It completely filters out all content, all lines that don't have that particular pattern. And we can escape out of that. Actually, pressing Q will quit the man command, and we can go back in it as normal. You also have marking, which I kind of find interesting. If you have a larger man page, you might want to jump between two sections. So the way this works is get what you want to jump to at your top line. So you see I've got name on the top line. You can press M, and then you set a mark point with a single character. So we're going to call this N. So we've just created mark point N. Let's jump down a bit, and let's call this mark point P. And we now have those. So we can now jump between those by pressing single quote and the letter for the reference. So I'm going to press single quote N, and it jumps to name. Single quote P, and it jumps to that particular parameter that I wanted to remember. Double tapping single quote will just jump between the different marks that you've set. And those are all the kind of standard ones that I think are useful. But again, you can press the H key and there is an absolute world of stuff in here that you can make your way through. There's a whole bunch of kind of cool stuff. Last thing that I would like to mention is that you can also display man pages in your browser. You can do this with the --HTML command. The only thing to note is that you need to ensure that you have a browser environment variable set. As long as you have that, then it will open the correct browser. And we can see here Actually, we want to grep for that. Yeah, I set Zen as my browser. So as long as you have a browser environment variable, that will work and it will display man pages in your chosen browser. So that was my deep dive into the man command. It can do a lot more than you might expect, and it's worth a bit of investigation. Take care.